Great morning, great evening, great afternoon. My name is Devontae Ward, and I'm joined by my co-host Demetrius Pearson, and this is The Counterattack. Like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification so you can know when to go on The Counterattack.
One way I train for my races is by doing a longer distance than the actual race. That way I get a big cookie in the jar prior to the race, and on race day, I'm not thinking about, like, can I really do 6 miles? When was the last time I did 6 miles? I don't have to question that because I did 8 miles twice, 2 weeks leading up to the race. But nah, man. So the taking souls mentality, right? Shout out to David Goggins, man, because without him, I don't know what I would call this. I don't know what the term would be for this because I would still probably do it, but man, it's so good to have a name for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so during the race yesterday, I knew that D was gonna be on my hip for the most part, but I wasn't there necessarily competing with D, but I knew D was like using me as somebody to chase. And that's cool and all, cause I was gonna give him that somebody to chase because, like, bro, I've been training for 30 days, and I know D does his fitness every day, but he hasn't been running every day. So I'm like, I gotta be out here for somebody. For him to chase. If I let him beat me, what have I really been doing for the past 30 days? Cause I kind of read forward just a little bit.
Fair. So, just basing off of that, and I think you've already shared it with me, but what has your last 30 days looked like?
Man, it's been different. Because I don't think I've ran this much since being in the military. We never even ran this much together.
Nah, not that.
Like you said, we were doing 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And what it started with, because I wanted to ramp back up my times. I talk about becoming, but I did have goals as it relate to becoming a runner again.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off, I think, first day, I said I'm gonna run 1 mile. Ran my 1 mile. I ran my 1 mile, and I think from now I said I'm gonna run 10 minutes at a time. And then, and that came from the mentality of like getting 1% better. And I got that out of the Atomic Habits book. But the 1%, although I do think is great advice, I was getting a little anxious. You know what I mean? I'm like, doing a 1% more each day, it's a little too slow by my standards.
Mm-hmm.
So I increased my 10 minutes or my 1 mile up to minimum of 3 miles or a minimum of 30 minutes, whichever one, depending on if I run on the treadmill or out on the track.
Mm-hmm.
So it started to get a little easier, or it started to get to the point where when I woke up, it was the first thing I thought about. Whether I ran in the evening or in the morning, it was the first thing I couldn't wait to get to, because at that point, the habit was starting to stick.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the best part about it is I forced myself to do things that I did not like, because that I hate running on a treadmill.
Same.
And putting yourself in a place where you're doing something that's that you don't enjoy, like you're forcing yourself to go through an uncomfortable situation. That right there calluses your mind, and you can use that type of mentality for other areas of your life, because we all know that life isn't perfect, and we don't get the best hand every single day. So sometimes you just got to go through those uncomfortable situations in a positive manner, and that's what the running been able to do for me. But I don't know, man. I can go in more details, and I'll kind of let you probe some more questions on that. But it's been fun doing that for the past 30 days.
Nah, that's dope, bro. And it actually, we got to see it translate itself the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So, same thing with me and DJ. Me and Obi, we ran 4 races together in the last 365 days, right?
Okay.
So I know I told you that Obi, like, he's a very worthy adversary, right? And, sometimes we have like that Vegeta Goku relationship where, we tight, but look, I want to push the button with you. Like, let's see, let's see who can hit this level first. So our very first race a year ago, we was real life beefing.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, we was real life beefing.
Man, okay.
Look, if DJ real nice with his editing, man, we might show a little snippet, man. Look, his wife helped him make like a little diss video for me and everything. Look, they done interviewed him with the pregame, so we sat there and, like, for them 3 miles, man, we were neck and neck, and then Obi kind of got me on the last little bit of it or whatever. So, you talk about the competition that comes from it and just being able to drive each other, and our group chat used to literally be called Iron Sharpens Iron, and it just kind of stems out from that. So moving forward, though, the Peavine Falls race, we had that July. So a few months later, you know, I was kind of on my running stuff a little bit heavier. I think he was kind of buried in school a little bit more, and that manifested to me being able to complete the 8 miles before he did. Moving forward again, our third race, we had it in this past November. As a matter of fact, it was another 5K race, so another 3.1 miles, and you know I was kind of moving a little bit on that, so I was able to finish about 4 places ahead of him. Now this past race, and we talk about proper preparation. With this past race, I think for me, I thought the race was a week later than what it actually is, and I blame DJ for that. But so I had like 4 days to probably try to get ready for this run. So I was running 4 days straight. Meanwhile, Obi already been in the cut. He probably 25 days or so in. So at this point, I know that he's properly prepared, and I know that I can kind of hang with him. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, this a long distance. This man really been putting in the work. So what that translated to yesterday is that, for 3 miles, I'm right there on Obi hip. Like every time he step, I step. After that 3 miles at the turnaround point, man, that gap just started getting larger and larger and larger. So I say that because I know you talk about, getting 1% better every day, but don't take that lightly because 1% better doesn't mean, 1 + 1 always equals 2. It's a compounding effect over time. So, 1% better today may equal out to you being able to hit a PR running 6 miles, 30 days from now. So don't take that lightly. And also going back to reading the self-development book. So that's kind of my preferred genre as well. So that's why I really wanted to dig into what you thought about Atomic Habits. I heard a statistic the other day that was like really, really alarming for me, but it also made sense to why some people are the way they are. It said that 52% of people who graduate high school but don't do anything to continue their education, they just stop reading.
Yeah, I did. I've seen that.
They just stop reading, period. And that was just kind of scary to think about because imagine a 17 or 18-year-old who just finishes high school and they don't do anything else to develop themselves. And that's why, sometimes we see people that we used to know and they're stuck in that same mentality that they once were, or they're living that same lifestyle they did while they were younger. So,
and that goes back to the environment, man, because sometimes I had to ask myself, like, why do some of my friends that I grew up with seem like they're not evolving, they're not growing? And sometimes I had to back and say, well, I had an opportunity to completely detach myself from said environment. Who knows where I would be if I was completely, engulfed in that environment and never had the opportunity to leave. I left and lived in North Carolina for 3+ years and had to learn like a whole new language, for lack of better words, a whole new mentality. So, I do have to, I give some of those people the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, man, once you get to a certain age, you get kids, you start experiencing different things. Regardless of your environment, you start realizing what's wrong. And you get to a point where you feel like people should be willing to make a change, but you don't see it as often as you should.
Right.
So
I'd agree with that. And also, I wanted to go back to another subject as far as you talked about the cookie jar.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about the cookie jar before. It's a concept from David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the concept of taking souls, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to explain to the audience what taking souls means. And I want you to tell them that story about how you finished that race yesterday. Let's hear about that.
Okay. So I do want to expand on the cookie jar
go for
thing too, because I didn't speak about how I used the cookie jar during this this trial of working out in the past 30 days or ramping up for the race. So one way I train for my races is by doing a longer distance than the actual race. That way I get a big cookie in the jar prior to the race, and on race day, I'm not thinking about, like, can I really do 6 miles? When was the last time I did 6 miles? I don't have to question that because I did 8 miles twice, 2 weeks leading up to the race. But no, man, so the taking souls mentality, right? Shout out to David Goggins, man, because without him, I don't know what I would call this. I don't know what the term would be for this, because I would still probably do it, but man, it's so good to have a name for it. Yep. But anyway, so during the race yesterday, I knew that D was gonna be on my hip for the most part, but I wasn't there necessarily competing with D, but I knew D was like using me as somebody to chase. And, that's cool and all, because I was going to give him that somebody to chase because, like, bro, I've been training for 30 days. And I know D does his fitness every day, but he hasn't been running every day. So I'm like, I gotta be out here for somebody. I mean, for him to chase. If I let him beat me, what have I really been doing for the past 30 days? So anyway, that happened. But also during the run, I would say about 2 miles in, there was a guy with like some bright Nike shoes that passed me up. And I'm like, man, this dude flying.
Yeah.
And you know, once he flew past me, I never thought about him again. But we get to the final bend of the course, and you know what I do with my run.
Yeah.
I cut my favorite song on, Relentless Again,
Yo,
by
I'm
Moneybagg
back on
Yo.
it. I'm back on
I'm
it.
back on it. I know what y'all thought when I said reset, but hey. But anyway, I cut that song on, and I just started sprinting. And I just so happened to see that same guy that passed me up at the 2 mile mark. And I thought to myself, like, oh, can I really catch him? Because when I tell you, man, he might have been I'm not good with distance, like measuring out distances, but I would say 400, 500 meters ahead of me. And when you think about the last leg of a 6 mile race, like, you exhausted.
Of course.
So I started sprinting, bro, as much as I could. And when I tell you I passed this guy up at the very last maybe 2 seconds between us reaching the finish line, I snuck up on him because he never looked back. I think by the time he heard me, he couldn't do nothing about it. So, man, I finished that race flying through the finish line like I always do, because I normally sprint my finishes, but this might have been the hardest I've ever sprint because I had so much ground to cover to catch that guy.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, man, like the people at the finishing line, you know, the people that are taking pictures, handing out medals, they would have thought that I thought I came in first place. Because when I snatched my hat off, I was like, yeah, I started screaming. I kind of wanted to look at Bud and be like, you know, your soul got took. But, you know, man, that's
Step
just
over real quick.
yeah, man, that's just, you know, I feel like all athletes in any sport, in any terrain do this. They make up competitions in their head.
There you go.
Because don't get me wrong, yeah, the guy didn't know he was competing with me. But the fact that I was using that to compete with myself, or I was using that to better myself, man, you can make up stuff like that to do anything in life that you want to excel
It's
at.
that joy mentality.
Yeah, man. So it was amazing, man. I hope that they got a video or a photo of that finish, because I need to see it.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get you out of here on this one. So I've talked about the concept of, you know, competition before, and, you know, how it drives, and, you know, how it helps you develop. And I think that goes double as a man, because I've always talked about the fact that men don't compete after a certain point in their life. And usually men stop competing after high school, after they played their football or whatever organized thing that they did in high school. And then you get out there and then that's it.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Unless you just got ops or something, but you know, that's a whole different type of competition.
Yeah, man.
So I think it's important to surround yourself with, you know, the type of people, you know, that I associate myself with, to where, you know, you could be on like in your 20s or your 30s and you don't even have to pay for it. Like, obviously, you know, we go to races and pay to compete, but being able to just have like that friendly competition with your friends to push you to the next level, or to be able to hold you accountable, you know, I think that's super important. So what's your take on that, the fact that men don't compete?
Well, I for one think that the environment has to set that standard. Because you remember we watched the video where it talked about the difference between like day ones, and he brought up this new concept of day twos.
Yeah.
So a lot of times your day ones, we're not really in the atmosphere of competing with one another for whatever reason. You know, we kind of take each other for who we are, and we just accept each other because we've been rocking since childhood friends. So we're not really trying to compete with each other. But you, myself, and DJ, we met during a period of our life where we were working on different things. So we were able to get that competitive mentality and stir it up. Because I don't know you from a child. You don't know DJ from a child, or neither me. So we know each other from men.
Yeah.
Like, we met as men, and we greet each other as men. We interact with each other as men. So I don't know why men don't compete at a high level amongst each other, but man, I'm thankful that the three of us compete at a high level amongst each other, because I talk a lot about, you know, all the stuff that I've done, but I can't do some of the stuff that I continue to do without you all being on my shoulders, or you all being like,
Same, bro.
yo, like, or this, look at me, or this what I'm doing, or like, bro, I know you could do better than that. Like, when you think about, it's crazy we haven't talked about this already, but when you think about the time that DJ went out and ran how many miles?
Yeah, what?
Out the blue.
10 of them things?
Out the
10
blue.
of them, middle of the day.
And it's funny because look, and
Look, too good not to talk about.
and it's so funny because the competitions we make up in our head, man, like nobody had. I didn't have to respond to that.
Yeah, facts.
But for whatever reason, I wanted to respond because in the makeup of our competition, I felt disrespected.
That's facts.
So
That's facts. That's that dog.
yeah,
That's
it's
that
friendly
dog.
competition, but in the makeup of our, our myth of competition where he is my op and I'm his op, I
Yeah.
felt solely disrespected.
You know what I'm saying?
So I responded by running 13 miles on a Friday afternoon. Like it makes no sense, but man, did we get some benefit out of it? Absolutely.
100%.
And then when you think about the fact that DJ, he talked about in a past episode, he didn't used to be a runner, and now look at him, he's running.
Yeah.
And then I'll even speak to myself. DJ speaks a lot. I'm not a speaker. I don't consider myself a speaker. Look at me now. I'm sitting here on a podcast.
Look at us.
Yeah, divulging
Look at
information.
us.
So, man, it's just amazing to be around people that stretch you, that put you in uncomfortable situations, and show you a different piece of yourself that you didn't even know existed. So,
Hey.
man, I appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. All right, man. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience?
No, not at this moment, man. I just want to say shout out to my guys, for putting this together. 2024 is gonna be an amazing year. We going up, so we hope y'all stay tuned.
That's a fact, man. Hey, look, hold them up real quick while I get his outro. All right, guys. So that completes our episode for today. My name is Demetrius Pearson. I have the Olympic runner right here, Obi Carnathan, and this is the Counterattack.
That's so specific and it's well put. The fact that you can articulate it is powerful. I don't know about you. Actually, I couldn't have did that when I was probably 22, 23, in words. I might have had a feeling or a vagueness of it, but I didn't have that specificness at all in terms of, knowing what I wanted. And so I'm not gonna lie, personally, I did a lot of stuff off of how I felt.
Always.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that was the belief system that I was rocking with until I did, and I was like, oh no, say it ain't so. You know what I'm saying? I felt, people feel shame, guilt, and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what? I just gotta put this on my back and move with it.